We're at the Dallas International Film Festival, and this is a real treat for me. I'm sitting here with the very lovely Karen Black, who I talked to last night on the red carpet. Really glad to have you back in Big D.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
It's
very happy to be here with y'all.
I think you have added a very respectable layer of class to this film festival.
Oh my God, I'm respectable. And I thought I was so marvelous slutty.
We talked last night on the red carpet about a couple of your notable films. We talked about Five Easy Pieces. We talked about you working with Dennis on Easy Rider.
Yeah.
And one thing I did want to ask you about that I kind of just slipped my mind last night. Right after you did Five Easy Pieces, about a year later, you did a film called Drive, he said, with Jack Nicholson, which he wrote and directed. What was the experience like working, with Jack kind of early in his career and having him be behind the camera? And what were his sensibilities like? And especially after all the different directors that you've worked with. I was just very curious, like that particular film. It really fascinated me, and what I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about Jack, calling the shots from behind the camera. What was that like?
Well, it wasn't after so many directors. It was very early.
That was early for you. Yeah, that was very early for you.
So I think Jack had been looking for someone to be in his film, Drive, he said. A woman. And he just threw up his hands one day and he said, "Okay, I've had it. I'm not going to cast anymore. You have to be in my movie." And then we had Tepper, and we had Margolis, do you know Michael Margoli? Margolin.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Fabulous actor.
Yeah.
And it was a hard time for Jack, and I'm a little upset about that, because Jack would be a wonderful director, but somehow he has organized himself into corners both times he's directed. Both times, I would say, this is my opinion, may not be true. He didn't have enough people for the hats that exist when you make a movie. There are hats. Somebody has to do the money. Somebody has to design the set. Somebody has to do the makeup. Somebody has to do the clothing. Somebody has to do all these things. And it had a kind of a spontaneous air to it, which was not a very survival spontaneous air. That is to say, the man who was doing the money would leave the cash and go to the set and do a table so that the table looked nice. Nobody was doing the makeup. I kept saying, "I need some." He kept saying, "You don't." I kept saying, "I'm not a boy." He said, "Michael looks great." I said, "He's a guy, Jack. I need makeup." And it was too much stress on Jack. There were too many things he had to take care of instead of just directing. And I've always wondered if he acknowledged that and realized that doesn't have to be that way, and he should do it again and properly, forgot the verb, give out stuff for everybody.
Delegate.
Thank you, that's the verb. Very, very good. Delegate, so that he can be free to do his work. He's great. He's very free and just incredible, and every time he'd say something, it'd make you sort of better and lighter. And
do you think
it was funny doing the movie with the man who played my husband, because the man who played my husband, I'll just tell you this, he's a writer. He's a great writer. In fact, he wrote The Two Jakes, and many other things. At any rate, but he's a kind of a conservative guy, and like I'm flying around the front lawn in my robe only, my eyes rolling back like a horse in heat, and this guy's going, "Okay, what do I do now? What do I do now, Jack?" Because he was a person who couldn't leap off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just remember how funny that was, and how I couldn't handle it. I didn't know what to say to this man playing my husband. I don't know how to make you leap.
How to let himself go.
How you get out of your head? I don't know how to usually figure out a way. Figure out a way.
Do you think actors, in some cases, would make really great directors? Because obviously, working with someone like Jack, and then with someone like Dennis, just a couple films before that, and obviously Dennis had a phenomenal vision, when he did Easy Rider. Do you think sometimes that actors can make the best directors because they know where the actor is coming from a little bit more so maybe than the average director would?
I guess I'm going to say something that's fairly rigid, and I hate that kind of statement, so I'm ashamed of myself, but I'm going to make it. If they get a wonderful cinematographer, they can be the best directors.
Yeah.
They don't know from cinematography. They don't. They do not.
Mm-hmm.
And Dennis had, please help me.
Dennis for Easy Rider. Oh, for the cinematographer. I don't remember.
We have to know because I did a whole documentary about it. Cut this part out. This is gone. Okay, so
Yeah.
but really, it's because you're right.
Right.
Actors really know how to talk to actors.
Yeah.
And they really are wonderful getting performances. I mean,
It's
we
a
have
different
many,
language.
many
Yeah.
examples of that.
Yeah.
But be sure to get a really good cinematographer.
Yeah, it's a different language too because they have a relation there that I think is maybe missing from certain directors, and you've obviously worked with just some amazing talents out there. I mean, Robert Altman working on Nashville, in which you proved to everybody that you're a hell of a singer as well.
Oh, thank you.
So, so you really, I mean, you seem to me like somebody. We were talking earlier. I think it's safe to say this. We were just now talking about cooking, and obviously that's a big passion for you.
Love
and
it.
You're a great actress. You're a great singer. Do you consider yourself kind of a well, not a jack of all trades, but maybe a Jill of all trades? Would you say that you're somebody that just likes to do a lot of different types of things and really immerse yourself in those things?
I guess not. I mean, does this work? This I don't think this is working.
No,
Are
it's
you
working.
sure?
Yeah.
Okay. I like doing thought things. I like writing. I like
Creating.
creating, yeah.
Yeah.
I like being inside my thoughts, and I like seeing what happens. I like there's that part of one's self, the aesthetic mind, let's call it, which is somehow divorced from everything else. I mean, you can have Dylan Thomas, who was a complete drunk, writing the most fabulous poems, and you can have James Agee, who was like, I don't know what he was like into. I think he was drinking all the time. James Agee, writing those, Let Us Now Praise Famous Men. And somehow that mind is unto itself, and it's true. It's unto itself. I don't care what you're doing, who you love, what's going on sexually, I don't care. That mind is inviolate in a funny kind of a way, and I enjoy it. I mean, when I start writing a screenplay, it starts writing itself. I mean, this is an old story. Creative people know what I'm saying. When I'm doing a character, when I did even Airport 75, I had no idea how this girl was going to come out, Nancy.
I love that movie, by the way.
It's a sweet movie.
Yes.
But also, people make a lot of fun of it. But that's okay. That's okay. But Nancy, I always thought she would be kind of dramatic and kind of disciplinarian. And she came out this sort of soft, vulnerable, sweet thing. So it's that we just, you're being something and you don't really know what will happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I really love those things. I'm a terrible piano player. I can't really play the guitar. I do love to cook.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of it. I write songs. I'm supposed to make an album this year with Cass McCombs.
I was going to ask about some singing.
Very, very, and what's happened with that, which is a big shock to me, is I studied opera as a child, really, and I've been singing soprano all my life.
Gorgeous.
So Cass McCombs wants me to be on his album last year, and I said okay, and I'm singing. You're my dreams come true, girl. And they're going, they come to my house. I mean, I've not sung in that voice. I've been avoiding it many years. So they come to my house, Ariel, the producer, and I've written some poems for Cass McCombs. And I said, no, because Cass said, I want you to write some poems for lyrics, because lyrics are so generic, it's driving me up the wall. So I said, well, now this poem is I changed it from For Nicholas to For Lorelei, so it'll be good for you to sing. He said, well, I don't want these poems for me. I want them for you. We're going to make an album with you. I said, what? And my husband said, well, who wants to make an album? He said, 3 companies want to make an album with Karen. So now I'm going through material for my low voice, because somehow, and now I've heard it's so boring, but I have to tell you, I recorded yesterday Love Hurts. Do you know Love Hurts?
Oh, yeah.
Drove me crazy, that song. Drove me crazy. And when I hear, and I go, whoop, into that, my high voice, And I noticed that it's interesting that these people have discovered something inside my body and throat that I didn't know was there. Matt Cass McCombs, because it's really it's an odd voice. It's very distinctive, whereas my head voice is very generic. It could be anyone. 1,000 women could be making that note. So anyhow, I'm going on and on, but it's been an amazing experience for this year and last year, late in the year, to discover the way I should be singing.
Well, I think it goes back to kind of what you were saying before about for, like an actor to be a good director, to have a good cinematographer. It's the same sort of thing, like having the right person to write those lyrics for you. It can bring something out of you never knew you had.
That's right.
And it's extremely, it's wonderful.
Really
they're flagging me that we have to cut this off, and I hate to do that because
I missed something. I think something is gone. What you should say.
There was something that we missed talking about.
I'll say that I saw the student film competition last night.
What did you think?
I loved it. It was so great.
Yeah?
I loved Young Love. It was my favorite.
Oh, I've been hearing such great things.
Young Love with the llamas.
Yeah.
And the licking llamas of the boots and the dashing horses. You've got to see it.
Is there anything else you're looking forward to seeing here while you're here?
I have to go home.
You have to go home
I'm
now?
starting rehearsal for a play.
Oh, that's great. What can you tell us about that?
Yes. Two things I want to tell you about.
Sure.
One is I have a John Landis produced movie coming out.
Yeah, we talked
comedy
briefly about that last
comedy
night.
thriller called Some Guy Who Kills People.
Mm-hmm.
And Kevin Corrigan plays my son, and Jack Perez directed, and I'm proud of that. I did a play. I wrote a play, a musical called Missouri Waltz with Harriet Schock, and we have raised money. It had a wonderful run in L.A. on Theater Row, and now we've raised enough money to do it in Macon, Georgia, in a beautiful home, and outside of a beautiful home in September. Henry Jaglom is someone that I've known as long as anyone in my lifetime, except for two people, and my mother, and my father, and my brother, and my sister. Anyhow, and I've done many movies with Henry, and he's written a play called 45 Minutes from Broadway, which is really like the pinnacle. It's like he's never done a better. It's just an incredible play. It's wonderful. And because it's so wonderful, it's been running for 6 months, which is unheard of in the L.A. area.
Oh, yeah.
And they're losing one of their leading ladies, and I'm replacing her.
Really?
Yeah, so on May 14th at the Edgemar, I'll be going in, and that'll be going on for a few months. And then I have 2 or 3 other projects, too.
I'm coming out there in May. I'm going to try to see if I can take that in. That would be great
May
to see you
what?
there. I believe like May 3rd, 29th to...
I'll be there.
Yeah.
Edgemar. Come and see me.
I would love to.
Be great.
I would love
I'd
to.
love that, okay?
You have the most beautiful eyes, by the way.
Thank you.
You really do.
Thank you. Yours are very good yourself, my dear. Very nice.
Karen Black, it is such a thrill. Thank you so much for
It's
talking to us.
my pleasure.
Pleasure.
Thank you.